Welcome back to the weekly news roundup. This is the Linux edition of the news. And we are going to talk today about some fun things going on in Linux. There are a bunch of articles we also cut that we'll probably talk about later on. So Plasma 6.1 is released and Cinnamon Desktop 6.2 has been released. We'll kind of talk about those in upcoming videos in the future. But for now, let's go ahead and get into the news, which is mostly centered around Ubuntu. Ubuntu is doing some interesting things and some crazy things. So let's go ahead and get on in. Of course, we're going to start here with Tails. Tails 6.4 has been released and introduces a random seed to strengthen all cryptography. So the way it reads this looks like it's tied to either the disk or something. I didn't look super well into it, but it makes decrypting the persistent storage way better than it has been in the past, probably tying the key to that particular drive. I'm not sure what that means for duplicating your drive over, but again, I didn't look into all of the odds and ends around it. But we do have a lot more benefits to this. They've also re-enabled the PDF reader on the Tor browser, which has previously been disabled because of a security bug, which is now worked out. And so you can actually read PDFs on the Tor browser now. That is re-enabled. About the persistent storage, let's see. The devs say having a secure random number generator is crucial for various Tails components that rely on cryptography, such as persistent storage, Tor, and HTTPS. This random seed is stored outside the persistent storage, so all users can benefit from stronger cryptography. Reads the announcement page. So it switches to secure HTTPS addresses for Debian and Tails software instead of using the Onion addresses. Presumably, this is going to make updates faster. And I guess that they're assuming that those types of things are well enough secure that you don't have to have ultimate secure privacy on those elements. I think that's what's behind it. But of course, it's probably going to be a better case and that you can update it quicker. And what I usually do is if I know there's an update, I'll intentionally boot my Tails specifically to update, and then I'll boot into it for whatever I need Tails for. This will make things work better. We have updates, of course, to Tor, the browser and the client, and then some Thunderbird updates as well to the sucky 1.15. It probably already was. This is 1.15.12. Yeah. Here they talk about the re-enabling the PDF reader functionality, which was disabled for security reasons. They couldn't get that resolved in the previous version, so it is now re-enabled. And so if you are using Tails, you will see that update coming soon. Now on to Ubuntu news. We have a lot of different changes. So the first is tiling shell brings advanced Windows snapping to Ubuntu. And so there was, with the latest edition of Ubuntu, they had this tile snapping, kind of like, it was a feature kind of first implemented by Pop! OS, where you could effectively turn the GNOME shell into a tiling window manager. And with this, you had different easy configurations you could set up and dictate which types of windows would go where. So you can set up these neat little pithy setups very easily. Now, I mean, I often do things like this without relying on a tool such as this. I mean, like if I were to show you the desktop for right here, we have our chat window, which I can see, which is right next to the news window. But in reality, I wouldn't want to use one of these things because I have everything set at very specific widths, and I don't want to have to mess around with that. So I'm not the personal customer of this. Not only that, but I don't use Ubuntu and I don't use GNOME. So that being said, now that was a feature they had put in. This is a new one. So this is the tiling shell. So if you disable tiling assistant in favor of the new tiling shell, you can set things up a lot easier and drag and drop things. I guess it was a lot easier. In fact, I did look at the original tiling assistant when Ubuntu first came out, and it was not super user-friendly to get laid out. Now, you could do it, but it wasn't super user-friendly. What the article is asserting is that this Ubuntu tiling assistant is actually very user-friendly. And so that's actually a good benefit. We have a little video here from OMG Ubuntu about how that works. So you can, of course, find this article and all the other articles in the link that is in the description of the video. And then you can see how it works. You can see you can lay out the different grids, and then you can use hotkeys or drag and drop in order to put things into each individual area. So if you are interested in tiling managers on GNOME Shell, this is a neat new feature for you. Of course, this is an interesting one. This is almost made Sillyville, but we decided to put it here. So Canonical announces the first RISC-V laptop running Ubuntu. Pre-orders just happened 3 days ago, and it's shipping Ubuntu 23.10, which if you are keeping tabs on Ubuntu 23.10, it is out end of life in July. So they just put up pre-orders for a computer that is end of life in less than a month. No specific word if 2404 is going to be supported by this or not. But hey, at least we have a RISC desktop computer running Ubuntu, but it's going to be end of life. Okay. Also, good news about it. The article actually makes a reference to like $1,000. I went over and looked at the actual sales page, and it's not. See, that's what it says. No price, but as if this first generation model retailed at $1,000, since its improved model would normally successful price point sit somewhere in that region. The reality is, when this came out, I went over and looked at the sales page last night as I was reading the news articles. This is the RISC-V 2 laptop, which ships with the Ubuntu 23.10. It is actually price pointed at $399. I think that's a sale price. I think it's $499 on sale right now for $399 on the pre-order period. So it does meet that qualification. What I would love to see is more inexpensive Linux laptops available. So it does say down here, I think they maybe updated the article from when I read it last night, since lowered to $400. So yeah, the first generation model, they say the first generation model was lowered to $800. No, the first generation model was lowered to $300. And I think the second generation models is $400. It still doesn't answer the question of, will we have Ubuntu 24.04, or are you going to get a computer once the pre-order delivered? Are you going to get a computer that literally expires in 20 days from now? So, hey, the good news, we have Ubuntu running on a RISC-V computer. The bad news is it's just end of life in 20 days. Come on. What are you asking for? Long-term life out of your equipment? Hey, this makes Apple, Google, and Microsoft look like they're supporting their hardware forever. Hopefully we will get an update to that, and we will have a RISC-V computer. But if I could buy a RISC-V Ubuntu computer for the $300, I don't know, I might actually consider that sometime soon. I'll have to look about what the cost is to get one in the United States, and, you know, where am I going to be when I decide I want to do that. Anyway, on to our last article. Of course, this has been a point of concern for a while. Ubuntu joining the list of probably, 2 Ubuntu-based distributions that don't install Deb packages by default, the other being Elementary OS. I think that one is actually solved, though, right now. I'm not totally sure. But Ubuntu, since it dropped the GNOME software store for the Snap Store, it has not supported installing Deb packages. Of course, they just created their new one done in Flutter, which I have said before, I actually really like the Flutter-based Snap Store way better than the Snap Store that was based on Ubuntu, on the GNOME software store. I think their new software store is actually grade A. I really like it. I think it's great. But it did not have the ability to install Deb packages. So you'd actually have to go and install a Deb package in the terminal. Or, of course, as our commenter said here right before the show started, yeah, you could always install GDebi in your terminal, and then you can do, or probably even through the software store, and then you could install them through the GUI. But out of the box now, Ubuntu finally figures out how to install Deb packages. Everybody, a round of applause for Ubuntu. Congratulations. All right. That being said, being a little fun and pithy, but hey, they do give us screens warning about installing things, making sure you verify that the source of this particular thing is good. And of course, if you have not yet do not yet have that option, you'd need to install your Snap Store to the latest Edge. So snap refresh Snap Store from the latest Edge channel, and then you will get that ability. So that is actually really good news, actually, in my opinion. So we're starting to see Ubuntu come back to, you know, giving people control over their computers again. That's good. If you want to help support the channel, we do have a Patreon page, patreon.com/TOMM. You can jump on over there and help join the channel. Of course, we do have a couple of different supporter networks. We have this, we have Subscribestar, we have Locals. It doesn't matter which one you want to help support on. We're just highlighting this one for now. Of course, we do our Thursday shows. Oftentimes, if we don't even do a Thursday show, we will still do a Hangout offline. That's for anybody that is a supporter would like to join us for an off-air Hangout. We do that after the live show on Thursdays. I don't know, maybe we should talk about the possibility of doing a second one as well for people that can't do Thursdays. I'm open to that. Maybe we should discuss some of those things. Give it until after July. In August, we'll start talking about that. But we also do our short story series. Of course, we have finished our last short story series until I think we're going to resume probably September. But as of right now, anytime you join until the end of the month on any network, you can go back, find Data Cell, and at the bottom of Data Cell, you will find a link to download the audiobook version. So these ones are the text version. There is an audiobook version, and we will have an ebook version, but I will have those done when I actually finish the books, which will be available, I believe, as a discount if you want a hard copy, or not like a hard copy, but a physical copy of the book. I think I'm going to probably have coupon codes for those on the supporter networks as well. So you can join in over there, patreon.com/TOMM. With that, thank you for watching, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.